Greetings and welcome to Week 7, Unit 4 on Instruction for Communication. We understood some methods of instruction for evaluate in the previous unit, and now we will try to understand how to instruct for communication. And communication is a very important dimension of engineering profession. And let us look at communication ability, what it constitutes. The ability to communicate effectively is critically important for engineers for a variety of reasons. It impacts their individual success. If you are able to communicate well, it makes a difference to your success. It improves the performance of the team in which you are working. It enhances the project outcomes. Explaining technical problem to a non-technical audience, that is an important issue for every engineer, especially as you grow in your profession. You have to work with either non-technical or your non-discipline specific audience. And it also helps the overall reputation and progress of the engineering profession itself if you are able to communicate well. And somehow the importance of communication is not felt by many of the programs. People, they do have some courses on English language, as well as one course called professional communication. Sometimes second course is outsourced even. Now let us look at if the management and the faculty understand the importance of the role of communication in engineering profession, hopefully they will pay or rather take this issue seriously and do something about improving the quality of communication by the graduating students. And instruction in any form during the 4 years of an undergraduate program will help in attaining the program outcome PO8. PO8 is related to communication, and it doesn't have to be an independent course. The communication dimension can be taken up in several courses. How exactly to be done, we will take a look at it, various options that we have. Without effective communication skills, even the most brilliant engineer will struggle to make a meaningful impact. Now, where do you require communication? First, collaboration and teamwork. No engineering activity anywhere in the world is a single person's activity. It is always a group activity. So when you have a group activity, the group members will have to constantly communicate with one another what exactly is happening, what is to be done next. You have to keep reporting to the entire group what exactly has happened and raise issues. So it depends on the effectiveness of the group will depend on how good is the communication. As I said, engineering is rarely a solo endeavor. Most projects involve multidisciplinary teams, and effective communication is essential for coordinating efforts, sharing knowledge, and resolving conflicts. When you have a large number of people, and that too from multiple disciplines, so you will always have issues of understanding. Each one may use a slightly different language from different disciplines, and that can lead to some conflicts as well. So how do you work in a multidisciplinary teams is a very important dimension. Doesn't matter what discipline you are working. These days, if you are a mechanical engineer or a civil engineer, you have to interact with people specializing in computing or electronics and so on. So you require to communicate with people from other disciplines, and you can't, for example, first hurdle that you come across, each discipline uses some kind of a short form notation for various terms, and each discipline has its own set of short forms, and if you talk in that language, obviously there is no communication. No communication can happen between the group members. Poor communication leads to misunderstandings, errors, delays, and ultimately project failure. So that is one requirement. Requirement gathering and understanding, because every engineering activity, generally which happens in the form of a project, when you are trying to start a project, you have to find out whatever you are designing or developing or maintaining, you have to understand the requirements, needs of the end user, and also through that dialogue you have to finalize determine the specifications of what you are expected to be doing. Engineers need to understand the needs and expectations of clients, users, and other stakeholders. Effective communication allows them to gather requirements accurately, ensure that the final product or system meets those needs. Because if there are multiple stakeholders for the product and each one's requirement is different, and you have to put them all together to define the product. If even one stakeholder is not able to accept the product, then your product fails. Misunderstandings of requirements can lead to products that are unusable, unsafe, and do not meet the intended purpose. Presenting ideas and proposals. Engineers often need to present their ideas to clients, management, and other stakeholders to secure funding, approval, or support for their projects. So one should know how to present your proposal to the concerned team. It can be client or it can be management. Inability to clearly communicate technical information can lead to losing opportunities and being unable to gain support to make a real-world impact. Documentation and reporting. Engineering projects generate vast amount of documentation, including design specifications, test reports, and maintenance manuals. Clear and accurate documentation is essential for ensuring that the project is well understood and can be maintained over time. Poor documentation leads to errors, rework, and difficulty in maintaining the product over its life cycle. This is something that we have been insisting with our students for a long time. Normally during the 4-year period or the master's program period, people don't appreciate the importance of that. Let's say you are designing a product and you think you have designed it, possibly you have even tested it, and some performance happens and you think that work is over. So though you know that documentation is necessary, you postpone it to a later date. That is one common thing that you observe, not only while they are in an institute, but even at a professional level. That is because you have a feeling that the main work is done. That is a kind of a post-activity work. That is, work is done, but you have to do something beyond that, though you understand the need for it, but you don't consider it important. And actually, when you document it, If all the work is done, the documentation should be a very, what do you call, a trivial job. You will only understand when you start documenting it. You will find out there is something you are not very clear. You will question yourself, can I write like this? Do I have to write something different? Is it correct? And so on. That means if you have doubts, actually the work is not completed. Work is not completed until you document it, because a lot of decisions get made during the documentation. That is, all the gaps are identified during the documentation and you have to solve them. That means work is not complete until the final document, reviewed document, is ready. So you can consider documenting something is part of the actual work. Not it's not as after unimportant work after the work is done. Okay. And there is another issue also. In an actual profession, people consider if I document everything, then I don't get credit for that. So I will withhold some information. If I withhold, that is where I have power over the project. People have to come to you. But then that is not, after all, you get paid for doing the design or whatever work you are expected to do. So that knowledge belongs to the organization. But somehow people feel that holding back the information is creating importance to yourself. Okay. Now let us look at the other dimensions of communication. Technical writing and presentations. Engineers often need to write technical papers, reports and presentations to share their knowledge with the broader engineering community. This is essential for advancing the state of the art and promoting innovations. Impact. What is its impact? Ineffective sharing of technical knowledge hinders innovation and limits the impact of engineering work. So technical writing is a requirement. There are some, it is not the same thing like writing your opinion or other forms of writing. Technical writing has its own characteristic and all engineering students have to be trained in that. Troubleshooting and problem solving. When problems arise, engineers must be able to communicate effectively with technicians, operators and other personnel to diagnose the issue and implement corrective actions. So the way you write it for technicians, what kind of thing about the product or system that he has to understand, he doesn't have to go all the way to mathematical principles or whether there are any errors in the code. The technicians require one type of knowledge, operators require one type of knowledge, and other personnel to diagnose require another type of knowledge, and as an engineer you have to write documents for all of them. Poor communication during troubleshooting can lead to misdiagnosis, delays and further damage. And there are ethical considerations. Engineers have a professional responsibility to communicate honestly and transparently with the public about the potential risks and benefits of their work. Failure to communicate ethically can erode public trust in the engineering profession and lead to negative consequences. So this is also what is ethical communication or ethical consideration in communicating. Also is kind of like PO7 kind of thing. So if you are able to learn how to write ethically, you are also addressing PO7. Leadership and management. As engineers advance in their careers, they often take on leadership roles. Effective communication is essential for motivating teams now. The requirement changes. You have to motivate teams, you have to delegate tasks and provide guidance. That kind of communication is very different. Generally, people do get trained when they come to that kind of role. Now, what are the skills? Let us quickly run through. You have oral communication skills, presentations, discussions, project pitches, informal communication. These are oral communication skills. Written communication skills, technical reports, lab reports, design documents, project proposals, email communication, technical documentation. Okay. And visual communication skills, diagrams and schematics, graphs and charts, CAD and CAM drawings, presentation visuals, and so on. Interpersonal communication skills, teamwork, active listening, conflict resolution, negotiations. Digital communication skills, online collaboration tools, social media. If you look at it, every engineering student, if you look at it, you require oral communication skills, written communication skills, at least on some of them, and you also require interpersonal communication skills because you want to be a good team member, and these days you require online collaboration tools and social media part as well. Okay, these are the communication skills that minimum that an undergraduate student in engineering program requires. In this unit, we will mainly look at instructional strategies for oral communication and written communication. First thing is needs assessment and targeted instruction. So you require language proficiency assessment. So first you have to understand at what stage the student is, because in India, English is not the mother tongue for practically all the people. However much you have been gone through in your school, in English medium schools, but still not our mother tongue. So what is generally, and also people come from all kinds of social backgrounds. So you generally require to administer a diagnostic assessment to identify specific areas where students need the most support: pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, fluency, and so on. So it cannot be one type of training for all. One does not fit all. So you have to do that and try to see, maybe group them into different categories and plan a training activity slightly differently for different groups. At least today you have lots of online tools which can facilitate you to address the needs of different groups. Consider using standardized tests like TOEFL or IELTS as baseline, but supplement with more specific assessments related to engineering communication. So first thing one has to do is diagnosis. Then targeted language modules like technical vocabulary, grammar for clarity, pronunciation, like provide explicit instruction in English pronunciation, including phonetics, stress patterns, and intonation. Focus on sounds that are difficult for students from specific language backgrounds. Different language backgrounds have different issues, so that has to be attended to. Then individualized support. How do we give individualized support? Offer individualized tutoring or mentoring for students who need extra support. This has been done actually in colleges which are situated in rural areas, and people have attempted that. I have seen cases where after hours the faculty member sits with individuals or small number of students and train them either in vocabulary or pronunciation and so on. Provide personalized feedback on their oral communication skills. Connect students with native English speaking peer tutors or mentors, which may be difficult for all situations to provide native English speaking tutors. Then authentic engineering communication practices that include structured presentation. Start with highly structured presentation assignments that provide clear guidelines and templates. How do you make a presentation? Yes, this is practiced in many places now. Gradually increase the complexity of the presentation, allowing students more freedom to choose their topics and formats. Provide opportunities for students to practice their presentation in a low stakes environment before delivering them to a larger audience. So make them present to a small group of students, your classmates, and once you identify your own limitations and gotten feedback from the instructor, then you can plan it better. We had experienced there was one student who was stammering, and we wanted to give him concession for making a presentation, but he refused. He said, I will practice and make a presentation. So he received some support, and he was able to, by the end of his program, he was able to communicate extremely well. Group discussions and debates, that is also one of the requirements, especially, as I said, in any organization you work as groups, and they have almost weekly meetings of the group members, and so you need to discuss as a group. Incorporate group discussions and debates into the classroom. Assign roles to students to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to participate. Provide sentence stems or templates to help students express their ideas clearly and concisely. This is a simple methodology. You insist that every student, when he responds to something, will start with a phrase or a stem, and he has to continue with that stem. So that makes it easier for him how to make a sentence on what he wanted to say. And facilitate discussions on engineering topics and current events. So this is one of the strategies that you can adopt for communication. Project presentations, this people are doing right now, but you can require students to present their engineering projects to the class. Provide guidance on how to create effective project presentations. These days it is easy to take video of some very good presentation and show it to the students, and facilitate them to design their presentation accordingly. Role-playing scenarios. Use role-playing scenarios to simulate real-world engineering communication situations. Okay, some kind of a role-playing. What kind of role-playing? Meeting with a client to discuss project requirements. So on one side you have a client, on the other side you are representing the project team, and you have to have a dialogue. And presenting a design proposal to a review board. You have actually board, 4 or 5 members before whom you are making a presentation. They can ask you questions, you should be able to answer them. This role playing can take place. Explaining a technical problem to a non-technical audience. Resolving a conflict within a team. So all these now these days very good case studies with videos available, and the instructor can facilitate student to understand what are the issues involved and train him. Then elevator pitches. You want to really sell something very strongly. Have students practice delivering concise and compelling elevator pitches that summarize their skills and experience. Let us say when you want to present to something very senior, head of an organization or to a minister, you can't take a long time to explain all the background theory and all that. You have to possibly within 2-3 slides you have to present the essence and convince the person that whatever that needs to be done, that can get his support. This is valuable skill for networking and job interviews as well. Then mock interviews. Conduct mock job interviews with students focusing on both technical and communication skills. Provide detailed feedback on their performance. Simulate different interview styles, behavioral interviews, technical interviews, both. And further, for assessment, how do you assess and evaluate the student performance? Focus on clarity and accuracy, or separate language skills from technical content. Weight communication skills appropriately. So these are the elements of a assessment, because when you are this is a formal activity, you have to assess as well as evaluate. Okay, you need to communicate to the student exactly what you are assessing and how you are going to evaluate his performance. And now when you do this, how are you going to do this this communication, whether both oral and this? It is not good to present everything in the beginning of the program, nor because many things you won't have experienced about engineering, what are all the issues. Neither it is appropriate to wait all the way towards the 4th year, because now he knows about engineering, now you will train him in terms of communication. It is not good to wait until that time. So you have to find a via media solution where the training in communication is kind of distributed over the 4 years. You may give about 4 to 6 credits weightage to communication, but then how do you distribute your instruction is left to the program designers. You can say I give 1 credit on this aspect in the second semester of the program, and I would like to do 1 more credit in the 3rd semester. Like that you need to plan. Then we come to written communication. We have already said written communication is difficult, as well as because English is not, first of all, not our language. When I talk to some people in the American universities as well, where the mother tongue of all the students is English and they have grown up in that, most of the faculty complaint is they do not know how to write. They consider their writing skills are very bad, especially technical writing skills are pretty poor. They also complain. So writing skills, written communication is not that language specific, that a little more attitudinal issue as well. And there is some skill as well. So here also, what are the issues? You have diagnostic writing assessment. What kind of assessment are you doing? Summarizing a technical article, writing a lab report abstract, explaining a technical concept, developing a problem statement. You can give some diagnostic exercise like this, and depending on how he or she is writing, then you decide where exactly that needs to be done. These days, to assist, you have ChatGPTs, you have Grammarly, all kinds of tools are there, but you should know how to effectively use them as well. Targeted language modules. Develop language modules that directly address the identified writing challenges. These modules should focus on grammar for technical writing, emphasize grammatical structures that are essential for clear and precise technical communication. Okay. An English language teacher, especially operating in engineering college, should know this or will know this. So, technical vocabulary, sentence structure and clarity, paragraph organization, report writing conventions. There are some conventions when you write a report, how the report is structured. This structure will have to be communicated in advance, like starting from executive summary, introduction and conclusions, literature reviews, methodology sections, results and discussion sections, citations and references, and so on. This is a matter of simple practice. If you do it once or twice, it starts becoming habit. Authentic engineering practice. This will consist of structured writing assignments. Start with highly structured writing assignments that provide clear guidelines and templates. Examples: writing a problem statement based on specific scenario. Some scenario is presented to you, you now write a problem statement, that's all. From a given description, you are formulating a problem, and incidentally that happens to be PO2, addressing PO2, formulating a problem. Summarizing a technical article using a predefined template. Creating a list of steps for a specific procedure. That is, somebody described what is the procedure, now you convert into very clear list of steps that needs to be done. Lab reports. Provide explicit instruction on how to write effective lab reports. Teach students how to clearly state the purpose of the experiment, accurately describe the experimental setup and procedure, present data and results effectively, analyze the data and draw conclusions, discuss potential sources of error. This will be even part of what you may call as PO4. Okay, but then unfortunately our experiments are all so predetermined. You don't plan an experiment, you don't and everyone's experiment is exactly the same. So it's a challenge for faculty to design such a laboratory work. Provide sample lab reports and grading rubrics. Then you have design reports, and then I will not go through all the details. The design reports will also have some structures. Similarly, technical proposals. If you are able to write a good design report for your on your project, that report, well written report itself, will greatly help you in your job interviews. We have known cases where the design report is put on the table and the interview committee did not even bother to ask him any questions, and he got the job. And somebody who can write such a clear design report, then he is already trained as an engineer. That's what they felt. So please pay attention. It can greatly help you in job placement. Technical proposals. Assign students to write technical proposals for engineering projects. Provide guidance on how to clearly define the project goals and objectives. Describe the proposed methodology. Develop a realistic budget and timeline, and persuasively argue the benefits of the project. Some case studies can be given, description can be given, and the students can convert that into a technical proposal. Literature review, because that is another kind of document. Many times the engineers have to write. There you have to focus on identifying the relevant sources, summarize and synthesize information from multiple sources, critically evaluate the literature, and organize their findings into a coherent review. That is the kind of a review report. Okay. Peer review. Implement peer review activities where students provide feedback on each other's writing. That is also a skill, and it should be constructive in nature. You cannot just say, no, I don't agree with that kind of comment. You have to say what are your reservations and possibly give a possible solution how it can be addressed. Whatever issues that you are raising, it can be addressed. Provide guidelines for giving constructive feedback, emphasizing the importance of being specific, objective, and respectful. It has to be given in respectful language. And assessment and evaluation. This is on your written communication. That it is a teacher who has to assess the written communication abilities of the students. Holistic assessment, focus on key criteria, clarity, accuracy, organization, grammar and mechanics, use of technical vocabulary, adherence to conventions. You can give some marks to each one, and based on that you develop a rubric, and whenever a report is given, the teacher can use those rubrics to mark. And also provide specific feedback. Give students specific and actionable feedback on their writing, highlighting both strengths and areas for improvement. Yes, this is a lot of activity, and especially what happens if you have a large number of students. How do you provide individual feedback? That is where you can use plenty of tools that are available these days, and you can take the help of any AI tool as well, so that the feedback can be very individualized. And anyway, people are these days, they submit the assignments and on a online submissions of any assignments, and it can be subjected to AI evaluation, and you can get individualized feedback. And this is where you can leverage technology, online language learning platforms, speech recognition and recognition software for assisting you in pronunciation, video recording and analysis tools. So you don't require a very elaborate studio and all that to record, and also these days you can analyze your video recording as well. Grammar and spell checkers, online writing resources, and citation management software also is available. So if these to start with, you can use open source tools, and if necessary you may have to go to some paid services as well. And this can make it possible to address individualized needs. And this requires what you call a right kind of supportive environment, right from management, department, faculty, and the institute should provide the supportive environment for this. It cannot depend on just one single faculty member who is doing the job. Encourage participation, provide clear and specific feedback, offer language support resources, celebrate diversity, record and review, provide clear expectations, offer multiple drafts, because you cannot, when you are trying to learn a language which is not your mother tongue, the kind of support that you require will be very different. Focus on content and clarity, provide positive reinforcement, be patient and supportive. That is the most important one. You have to be patient with regard to learning communication. Okay, once you are able to learn reasonable level of oral and written communication, you can also do effectively the other type of specific communication activities. Okay. Next unit, we'll try to understand how to instruct for service learning courses. And thank you for your attention.